Hi, welcome to another episode of the Sankofa Pan-African series. In the times we're in, we cannot get away from addressing the issue of race in the US. Actually, internationally, it's not just an American thing. The Black Lives Matter movement is and should be a global movement. It's not just, race is not just an issue in the US or even in Europe. A lot of us who are continental Africans don't actually sit down to try and even address how it affects us, even though we're continental Africans based in our countries and things like that. Race is an issue when it comes to the economic, global economic architecture of the world. So, but let's take it from where you are in the US. So how can Black people, including immigrants, people of African descent and immigrants, navigate, that really highly discriminatory environment?
As a Black woman in America, I can tell you, the notion of racism, it's real. It exists, right? But what I can also tell you is that America is a great country, and America can be better, right? But a person like me, with the education I have today and the work that I've been able to do, I can tell you, but for America, I wouldn't be doing them, because the reality is that I did not come from a country that was able to provide me with those opportunities. So as an immigrant, I look at America in a different lens. Yes, the racial challenges exist. And as someone who studied race in the law, I can tell you in the United States, you don't have people telling you, I'm not going to hire you because you're Black. They're not going to tell you that. But how racism is, it's embedded in our foreign policies, in our administrative rules, in our laws, because you can have a law or administrative rule that on its face, it looks absolutely neutral, but in its application, it would have a disproportionate impact on a particular segment of the population, right? And that's why it is important to have people in positions, whether it be in the judiciary, at the White House, the State Department, at the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, and academic institutions within the private sector who truly understand race and its implication. Because to say that race is not a problem, you are actually a part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't acknowledge it, right? Because the first step to amending our racial challenges is to acknowledge that it does exist. And I would like to, take what South Africa did under the leadership of Papa Madiba, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But except, because I know with South Africa, it was truth, reconciliation, and then justice. And Black South Africans still have not received justice. Mm-hmm. So for me, it would be truth, justice, and kumbaya. and
reconciliation should come later.
Exactly.
Which is the kumbaya.
Exactly. And justice to me could come in a form of reparation. And different people have different understanding of what reparation should look like. And for me, I'm not asking for a check of, let's say, $300,000 or $1 million, right? Because the reality is, if you were to give the average person a check of African descent, they would just blow it. That's just the reality, right? Because you have to have the proper training, the proper infrastructure to know how to properly utilize that money. You see this all the time. People who win the lotto, they go broke within a year or so, right? So for me, reparations will come in form of access to quality education, and in some cases, because we know the education system in America is extremely expensive, provide children of descendants of slavery full scholarships to earn their master's, their doctorates, or whatever the case may be. Even, reparations in form of land and property. These are the kinds of things that I would like to see. More assets than the actual handing over the money, because people just would not know how to properly invest it because they don't have proper training. Even some of the most sophisticated people with education, you give them a whole lot of money, they will blow it the next day, right? So for me, I think that people of color, African Americans, people of African descent have contributed so much to this nation. In 1619, when we were brought over to the shores of Virginia, America is not what it was. So it was through the sweat and the hard work of African Americans that America is what it is today. And what people of color are asking is a fair share of the pie. Nothing more, nothing less. People of color are not asking for nothing that they have not earned. They're asking, they're saying that we have contributed to this country. You have stolen our culture, our pride. My people were in slavery in this country, which meant that while the white race, the dominant race, was pursuing life, liberty, and happiness, was buying property, was building empires, had access to education, I did not have some of those same rights. In fact, I was considered to be a piece of property. And slavery ended, right? And then you had Jim Crow. So even when Black folks were liberated, but not truly liberated, because you had sundown towns. You could not buy property in certain areas, all because of the color of your skin. So people of color, again, are asking, because of the harm and the damages that have been done to my people, I want to be compensated. And usually, in most cases, when harm has been done to someone, they file a lawsuit and they are compensated in American culture. And that's all they're asking for. They're not asking for anything that they have not earned. And I think it's time for America to listen, and to listen carefully, because let's look at it this way, right? So you and I were running a race together, running a marathon, right? You've been doing this for years. For years you've been doing this. So you've had time to practice. And they say, well, Joanna, I want you to race against her. I would never be able to catch up with you, no matter how great I am, because we're not coming from the same level. It's not an even playing field, which is why we have this argument between equality and equity. Those are two different things. We're not looking for equality, but we're looking for equity. Because equality is that, yes, you both have the opportunity to run the race. What's the problem? But equity is that you have been given all of the resources and the tools to succeed, and I have not, because of the dark history of America.
And the same sentiments, can actually be used to put a lens on what I keep referring to as this warped global economic architecture, where countries on the continent of Africa, in the developing world, were set back by years of colonization, eventually granted independence, only so that the European countries that kept them colonized, could continue extracting from them. They invested so much in seeing that the governments were not stable, only now to turn around and offer us aid at the expense of equity when it comes to trade, determining the prices of our products. It's the same. It's the same kind of struggles that poor African nations, the same way that African nations are kept impoverished. The playing fields are just not equal. They're just not equal.
Yeah, they're not. And one thing I have realized over the course of my life is that wherever you are in the world, there is oppression. There's oppression in Nigeria. And again, it's not to undermine or to take away from the race challenges we have in America, but in Nigeria, you have oppression in form of uh, tribalism, right?
Ethnic oppression.
So what I have learned is that wherever you have people in the world, the dominant group will do whatever is necessary to remain and retain power. That's the reality. So, so the challenges in the United States are not unique to the U.S. It's all over the world. If it's not race, it's religion, it's tribe, it's education, it's colorism, right? So these types of challenges that we're discussing in America you see them in different light depending on where you are in the world, which is why I say to my to the world, it is up to us as individuals to ensure that we are not moved, or we are not influenced by our own personal interest, but rather the interest of the greater good, the interest of others, because you can never eradicate injustice, because it is the hearts of men that must change. And to be frank with you, if laws were sufficient to eradicate injustice in America, we would not have them. You know how many laws we have on the books to prevent discrimination? You have the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And I can go on and on and on. But it is people. The hearts of men must change. We must see ourselves as part of a community. And within that community, in that global village, my success is based on your success. I am not truly free until you are truly liberated. And until we have this kind of understanding, this kind of perspective of the world, we will forever have these challenges that we're facing.
This discussion will be continued in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sankofa Pan-African series channel. Like our videos and please share them with your contacts.